Hello, this is Mr. Sam. This is already like a daily yapping session for me now. Today I'm going to talk about intelligence and self-awareness, basically. Didn't have too much backgrounds on it, but I just feel like it is a very fun topic to talk about. Like, we can only prove that we have self-conscious, like not even we, but I, as a human being, I can say I am conscious about myself, but I can't even prove that any other existence also have self-awareness, also have a consciousness. Because our brain, our neuroscience just was not advanced enough to prove anything of that kind. So for all these years, it is kind of just a philosophical topic. But generally speaking, if you are a believer of materialism, then you will kind of agree that even if I can't prove if my friends have self-awareness and consciousness or not, but since this particular person, he behaves like a human, and he say that he has feelings and he has self-awareness and consciousness, and he is basically another me, but behaving slightly differently if you look at it in a macro level. And we can generally think about the same thing too about every single other human in the planet. So you wouldn't go out on the street and suddenly decided to question if a random dude you see on the street, is he a robot or not, because that's just not what us as a human think about. So if we accept that, if we are like, okay, so if this guy behaves like he has intelligence and self-awareness, it means that it has intelligence and self-awareness. Doesn't that mean that there is probably a lot of things that might have self-awareness, but we just don't know about it yet? So like, a very common thing that people ask all the time is, oh, does AI has self-awareness? Or if it doesn't, upon what standard does it gonna grow with the self-awareness? So if you were say that if this particular thing that behaves exactly the same as a human, then we should, it has the same intelligence, and he declares that it has self-awareness, then we should assume that this person is having consciousness. So the same assumption that we make towards our neighbor, we go to our neighbor and say, hey Tom, how are you today? Like, we're not gonna be like, is Tom a real human? Does he have consciousness? We're not gonna think that way. It's just very weird. So we're basing on a consumption of, since Tom is responding me like a human and he is behaving like a human, so me, I am a human, and I have self-awareness and consciousness. So therefore, Tom should also have consciousness. We're making this assumption without any like definite proof, because it is also possible that everyone around me were just like a brainless robot or something, that they are actually just behaving in a certain way that makes me feel like they are human, but they're actually not human and does not have consciousness. Like, I can't disprove that. It is on the table. I can't prove it's correct, but I can't disprove it. So since every single human being are making this assumption that okay, my neighbor is conscious, then we should use the same assumption on AI, right? So if this particular thing is behaving exactly like human, shouldn't we like just assume that it also has consciousness, and that we just couldn't really understand understand it all that much. And there's some other funny things that's going on too. Like if you think about ants, so each individual ants are very stupid. They releases a certain type of chemical, and the other ants they sense it, and they are just like code the whatever the chemical they sense, and they're gonna act accordingly. So each ant individual are stupid, and they're like a small machine with only a few code. So it does this and it does that. Nothing special going on with the ants, but when you have like a huge piles of ants, huge amounts of ants, then it's a different story, right? So they're like individual code segments, and when they collide together, they are actually able to build a nest. They're actually able to build different rooms, and they know what to do. They know how to get the food, and as a whole, they are just appearing to be very smart. And if we think about our own brain, one neuron was like very stupid. Is like a yes or no button basically, but our brain was made with like thousands, like millions and billions of neurons. Then when they collide together, they're actually forming something that is actually sentient. And what if there is this huge ant nest, and they're just kind of developing their intelligence so much that each ant acts like a neuron, and it is also having consciousness, right? It is also sentient to some extent, right? If this particular group of ants are able to do a lot of things that are smart, or if we are putting it in the words of feelings, you might argue that okay, robots don't have feeling or anything like that. So we can ask ourselves what feeling is at the end of the day. What is feeling? So for example, the feeling of fear, where basically the reason why we feel fear is when we see something that is scary, and something triggers in our brain, and whatever the thing that's been triggered, it's also just very stupid neurons. It's just some yes or no thing chemical has triggered in our brain that forms a reaction of trying to run away. So like if you're assuming that the brain is if you're assuming that brain is producing consciousness, then I guess we have to assume that lots of different weird shit in the world is forming consciousness too. And if we are not assuming brain is the one doing the work, and we're saying okay, you have a spirit, you have a soul, anything like that, then you might have like a more hopeful world, no? Like you will say, I am human, I have a soul, so there's no way that AI can have self-awareness and intelligence and sentient. But the problem with this kind of theory is it is not reliable enough. It's just you can't prove it nor disprove it. It's like a word game. Yeah. So I think on the science, if you look at things as based on science, then maybe the word sentient or consciousness are like bigger than what we anticipated. If it was just a bunch of stupid neurons combined together into something that makes logical decision, probably there is sentient things that we don't know it's sentient yet, and AI could be one of them. Like I think most of the human right now still don't believe that AI has its own consciousness, like because they are just like even when I think about AI, I think about AI as something that They are just lumps and lumps of code, right? But if you think about it deeply, our neurons works the same way as computers, so they're just generating yes and no messages, like 0 and 1. That's the computer language. So what are the fundamental difference, man? That's kind of weird, isn't it? All right, that's all for today's video. Have a great evening. Goodbye.